This episode is brought to you by Dashlane. Never forget another password and keep all your credentials secure by signing up for a free account today. Some might argue that all wars are pretty dumb, being as they are a final resort to diplomatic negotiations. Indeed, when we look back at history with the benefit of hindsight, much of the bloodshed and conflict in this world could have been easily avoided with a little bit of common sense and diplomacy. But some wars are just plain silly. Today we'll examine 5 wars that began with a bizarre misunderstanding, overreaction, or drunken mistake in this episode of the Infographics show, Dumbest Wars in History. Number 5. The Battle of Korra in New Zealand. Although Maori chief Hone Heke was one of the first to sign the Treaty of Waitangi in February 1840, he wasn't by any means a happy camper. He objected to the change of the capital city to Auckland, as well as changes to customs tariffs. British troops in 1844 were stationed in the town of Korra, New Zealand. They flew the Union Jack flag over the town, and Chief Hone Heke took offense, rode into town, and felled the flagpole. The troops erected a new flagpole, and right on cue, the chief chopped it back down again. This happened a 3rd time, and on the 4th erection, the British assembled guards to keep watch of their flag. On the 11th of March 1845, Heke and his tribe rode into town once more and murdered the inhabitants in cold blood. The conflict dragged on for another 10 months. As is typical in these battles, the British were outnumbered and outsmarted by the natives, but were able to send for reinforcements, and eventually the British overcame Heke, but the old chief had made his point. Number 4. The War of Jenkins Ear began when the English privateer Robert Jenkins is said to have crashed into Parliament, waving his severed ear in his hand and demanding a war with Spain. Whether the ear in Parliament story is fact or fiction is open to conjecture, but the name of the war does, without a doubt, stem from the loss of Jenkins' ear. He claimed his ear had been removed by a Spanish coast guard who had boarded his vessel. Thus, war began, mostly in the Caribbean, with fighting spreading across the Florida-Georgia border. The war lasted from 1739 to 1748, and many more ears, limbs, and other body parts were severed in the process. Number 3. The War of the Golden Stool. The stool, made of gold obviously, belonged to the Ashanti Empire in Africa and was believed to be sacred. The stool was thought to house the souls of the entire nation, the living, the dead, and those yet to be born. This stool was really a big deal to the people. The exiled king was unable to protect his subjects and his stool, seeing as he was exiled, so in 1896, the British governor Sir Frederick Hodgson stepped in and told the people that he intended to claim the stool for the crown. Not a good move. The locals obviously weren't too impressed that the British were intent on casually stealing all their souls and assembled as many men and weapons as they could. Meanwhile, the British set out to find the stool and claim it, but instead found themselves under vicious attack by an army led by the mother of the exiled king. The British troops were slaughtered, all but a few survived, and those that did scurried back to town and barricaded themselves in a small fort while the opposing forces grew to 12,000. Another 3 months passed before the British had called in enough extra men and hardware to tackle the restless natives. They finally did so on July 12, 1900, by which time the besieged British had been trapped for weeks and had run out of food and ammunition. Number 2. The Battle of Carranza, 1788. 2 factions of the Austrian army scouting for Turkish forces clashed in this bizarre drunken mix-up. The Austrian hussars were setting up camp and decided to indulge in some schnapps that they'd acquired from a group of gypsies. Soon afterwards, some infantry from the same army saw the party and asked if they could join in. Not willing to share their booze, much arguing ensued, and one soldier fired a shot. Bad mistake, as the hussars and infantry began battling with one another. To further confuse matters, some infantry began shouting, "Turks! Turks! Turks!" The factions of the same army continued shouting at each other, thinking they were firing at the enemy. When the Turks did finally arrive 2 days later, they discovered the dead, wounded, and hungover Austrian soldiers and easily took Carranza. And finally, number 1. The Football War. This conflict between El Salvador and Honduras in 1969 followed a game of soccer between the two football-crazed nations. El Salvador lost the game, and tensions rose between the two countries. Sore losers El Salvador broke all diplomatic relations and sent over bombers disguised as passenger jets, taking Honduras by surprise in a 3-day war that claimed the lives of 3,000 people. The United States swiftly intervened and brokered a ceasefire between the two countries. Although underlying tensions such as economic equality existed between the two countries, it was no doubt the game of soccer that led to the war kicking off. One thing we don't have to start a war over is how to keep your password secure. Dashlane is a password manager that makes it easier for you to control your digital identity. Try Dashlane completely free for 30 days and discover how much easier your password life can be. Anytime you have to come up with a new password, you can use Dashlane to generate a super secure one. That's why we at the Infographics Show all use it. The security of Dashlane is awesome, but the autofill is what makes it so much fun to use. You'll never have to log into another website again. Dashlane does it automatically for you. Dashlane is available for PCs, Macs, iOS, and Android devices, and if you use Dashlane Premium, you can sync your passwords and secure login details across all your devices. Become more secure and support the Infographics Show at the same time by using the code Infographics and get 10% off Dashlane Premium from the get-go by going to dashlane.com/infographicshow or clicking the link in the description. So, what do you think? What's the dumbest reason anyone's ever gone to war? Are all wars stupid? Let us know in the comment section. Also, be sure to check out our other video called What You Should Do If You Get Stopped by the Police. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time!